Pardon me as I gaze off.
This is
Side
It's
here.
Raining Games, YouTube channel. Obviously, that's where you are. We are doing our review series, which we did a review of a long time ago. Cuphead video game.
Yep.
So what I wanted to start
And
doing
show,
is
I think. Did we review the first season?
we are still. Oh, did we?
Yeah, because we finished the first and second season. I just don't know if we did a review of the second one yet. I thought we did a review of the first season.
I don't think we did a review for the show yet. I think we were going to do the first season, and then the second season came out. I'm not 100% sure on that.
No, we finished the second season. The third one came out, and you didn't want to watch it until we played the DLC, because it was going to involve the DLC.
Anywho, I don't remember. So this is just a continuation of that. Every time we beat a game, I want to kind of do a quick review of the game.
Yeah, go over our experience.
Indeed. So kind of got a little list here of things we're going to go through. So thoughts about the game.
So, just for clarity, I don't know if we said it, this is for Chrono Trigger.
Yes, sorry, yes. Yes, I did
Specifically,
not
we
say
played
that.
through the Steam version of it, which is I believe, just a port of the 3D, not the 3DS, the DS release of it, or some kind of amalgamate adjustment afterwards with some tweaks for it being on the computer, which is the third iteration, I believe, because there was the original on the Super, the PlayStation release with the Final Fantasy collections, and then the DS one. So this isn't the review of the original, or the PlayStation one, or just the DS copy for that matter.
Fair. So I guess my thoughts about the game, kind of like I liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I know it's a series that Naka has wanted me to play for a long time, and finally got around to doing it. We did it in recording purposes, so we were trying to streamline it a bit where, like, there are situations where trial and error I would have definitely eventually got it, but I was like, all right, pass it to Tanaka just to get through, so I'm not going to be here for 6 hours on one boss kind of thing.
Or mysteries to solve and whatnot, which is a little bit hard when you're doing it in bursts.
Yeah.
Because having trouble remembering exactly where you were, or what was said, or what dialogue, or what item is where, and not to mention when you have trouble remembering plot elements and stuff happening in general.
I mean, yeah, I suffer from that.
So drag it out over time, it just makes it a near impossible thing. So it's one of those, like, all right, I'll step in, streamline it a little bit.
Fair. The game had good storyline to it. Great characters, great character development, great battle system. Like, it was a very good game. Like, it was well built, well done. Loved the cutscenes. I am a Dragon Ball Z fan, so knowing that Akira Toriyama
Was there for
pronounce that correctly, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
Akira Toriyama.
was part of that. Like, that's fantastic. That's the same reason why Dragon Quest I also like, because he's heavily involved in that as well.
Yep.
Those are my thoughts on the game. What are your thoughts on the game?
So obviously for me, this is a return to a classic. I grew up playing this game. I've played each version of it. I haven't gone through the whole game on each version, actually. The one I know the most is the Super Nintendo one, and that's etched in my brain. Funny enough, there's stuff that I thought that was new for the computer one was ones that I just forgot I'd gone through on the DS one. And it's not just a nostalgia thing for me either, going back to this. I love the game for years, and it's because of everything it does. And it's because, it's not that it does everything, it's just what it does right. It doesn't overstay its welcome for terms of length of plot or complexity. It gives lots of extra stuff to do, but that's more optional. It's more of a world you can explore into, and I've always appreciated a story that could keep on a good pace, but a world that had depth. So if I wanted to, I can get more out of it, as opposed to being dragged over Hell's Half Acre with a whole bunch of bloat that just feels unnecessary. The conciseness of it does leave a certain wanting to it, but the fact that there's the New Game Plus also was a huge bonus for me as a child, and I still enjoy it to this day. I play through this game every so many years. I've tried to stop going through it, actually, because I have so many games to finish and go through that I keep coming back, and it's like, I can't waste my time with this anymore.
He says that after recently played through it again.
Yeah.
Well, we were recording over the last year. So.
Yeah, so because I was like, you know what?
I'm trying not to, but I'm failing miserably.
Exactly. It brings me back because there's so much that I enjoy about it. The character design, the music, the story itself, the pacing of that. the character interactions, all of it is just enough with a right pace. It's not like it's all crazy in depth and oh, it's such amazing, heartfelt Shakespearean. No. It's that it has just the right levels. The character dialogue is fun, quick, or impactful, depending on the scene. It's got its comedy moments, it's got its heavy moments. The artistry and the implication of stuff has always been beautiful and fascinating for me. I love the imagery. So some of my favorite spots in it was the Kingdom of Zeal, 1200 BC in the game. The floating kingdom with the sky and the waterfall coming off and the beautiful stretches of land and the music in it. This lilting, slightly haunting tune. Love that so much. It is such a fantastic setting. And the imagination with the imagery that goes along with it was very inspiring for me as a kid, and it has set the bar for how I want games to capture me for what they're doing. If it's going to do something, I want it to do it right. Mm-hmm. If it's a mindless slugfest, I want it to be just high octane fun bashing. If it's a deep emotional story, I want that to grip me and pace me through that. I want it to drag me through the emotional traumas that it's going to be putting through.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes from games like this, where it started where it set out to do what it was going to do. It was a fun adventure story with some harder elements, because a lot of big stuff happens when you're messing with time and people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that in its very short run, it manages to give you such an impactful story for so many different characters. Frog, Glenn, or as name him, Naka,
mm-hmm. has
one of the better tragic hero stories, and it's a throwaway. It's just a quick backstory, and it's a big part of the game, but it's barely a couple of hours of your time, which sounds like a lot, but in RPGs, that's nothing. Like, let's not forget Final Fantasy, 13, with its, 60-hour runtime to get through the beginning of the game?
I don't recall, but to platinum Final Fantasy 13 took me 300 hours, because I had to play through the entire game again, which I streamlined the second playthrough. Now, this isn't in recording or anything, but just personal play, to get one trophy, because if you sell an item, you cannot get that trophy in that entire playthrough, and you have to get to a certain point to be able to get the item and then upgrade the item to get its upgraded version to get that trophy. It's treasure hunter trophy, so get every item in the game was what it was for.
See, that's an exact part.
Ridiculous.
That's an exact part of Chrono Trigger that I love so much, is that you can ram through this game in a couple of hours if you're really cutting down. It's like a 12-hour game tops, but you can do lots of extra stuff that put it out to maybe 30 hours. And the fact that it's such a streamlined story in game, and it has New Game Plus, which it's a rewarding New Game Plus too. I have had games where it's like New Game Plus, and the only thing you keep is maybe an item, or sometimes just the levels, but everything's gone. And it's but all the things I earned.
Yeah.
And then there's also the other versions where you don't keep your levels, you don't keep your items, you don't keep anything, but it's an item you get.
Yeah.
Or you get to keep just your money, or some dumb stuff like that. It's why would I even do New Game Plus then?
Yeah, because you're just playing it again rather than playing it with all your perks from
if
playing
I want to start fresh, I'll start fresh. There's save files.
Yeah.
With Trigger, it's everything. You keep everything. All the stuff. It used to be originally you didn't keep the plot relevant ones for certain side stories, so the Rainbow Sword would go.
Okay.
But that was it. But that just means it was more fun to go back and get the sword again.
Yeah.
In this version, you got to keep it, so you can literally not do any of the side quests again.
Or do it again and get a second.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Your stuff you couldn't do in one run through. But that made it more appealing to do it on the second time, because the game doesn't overstay its welcome.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go through again. You hate the fact we had to pick between the 3 prismatic helms versus their prismatic dress.
Right.
Play through 2, 3 helms and a dress. Play through 5 times, you got 4 dresses and another set of helms.
There you go. Okay, that's fair. Everyone's got the item. That's fantastic, yeah.
And in the original game, when there wasn't this extra stuff, because in the later versions they added more items that were a bit more powerful or were a bit more catered to certain things, which is neat and all, but it kind of takes away a little bit from how perfectly balanced the original one was. Prism Helm's the strongest in the game. It's but what if? No but what ifs. It's just the strongest. Go through again, you get 6. Everybody's got a helm. Go through a couple of times, go through 3 more times. Every lady has a dress now.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Stuff like that. It just makes it more fun. Plus, the fact that it has 12 different endings in the original version of it. Which you didn't get to see that there was multiple ones because we had to finish up with that. But yeah, there's actual multiple different endings you can get, and slight variants of each, of like certain clustered ones.
Okay.
They have them all categorized in the Steam one, which is nice. It's helpful. And it gives you a clump of them if you've done like the overarching condition.
Okay. Okay.
So, like, let's say you beat the game the way we did. There's, like, 3 different versions of that ending. But it's that ending that we got. So we got those 3 in the videos.
Technically failing is an ending as well. So
yeah, everything dies. That was great. As a kid, that was one I was like, oh, no.
I screwed up.
The apocalypse. It happened. But yeah, the fact that there was 12 different endings, so there was an incentive to go through multiple times again. Because you're like, oh, what happens if I end it now? What if I kill Chippy in your game, Magus? Does it break the curse? You finish the game and Froggy's still Frog. But if you do kill him, and you do the ending we got, he shows up in human form. Yeah. There's an actual sprite of him in human form. Yup. Which is funny, because in the Akira Toriyama, like, animated one, they made it so you don't ever see his face, and like, what? But we already know what he looks like. Like, we don't have a detailed version, but in the sprite version, he's got, like, just, like, body-length green hair with, like, a handsome swath of hair in the front. And then he's like, come, we must go, must go rescue Chrono's mom, like, leaps into the time portal. And I think it's Luca, Cora in yours, goes like, oh my goodness, he's so handsome! Like, unexpectedly, because he was a frog-faced man.
Yeah.
So I was like, the fun, like, oh my god, he's really handsome, what the heck?
Yeah.
So that was like a fun ending in itself. There's one, if you do, that it's such a pain in the butt to do. That way you jump to Lavos, I showed you at the end there, we touch like the thing, and when you just fight him as Chrono by yourself, or with Marl/Jean. Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
If you beat him, you get to go to see the development room, like the team, like they have the what's it called? The End of Time, that little platform, and all the sprites that are there are from the game. They're the names of the major developers of the game.
Oh, cool.
And once you've talked to everybody, they let you into the room where, like, the God of War, Spico, was. You go in there, and it's the Dream Team. The people who are, like, the mega, like, power developers of it. Akira Toriyama, Nobuo Uematsu for the music. I forget the other names because I have a terrible name for memory for names, and they're Japanese. It makes it so much harder.
Fair.
But yeah, and like there's not like one of the developers when I was going around like, do I remember these names? And I saw Yasunori Mitsuda was there. I was like, yes, I knew it. And then there's Nobuo Uematsu, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. They did credit him on this. He was sick, so he didn't get to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So part of the job was passed off to Yasunori Mitsuda. But and for relevance, if you don't remember, Nobuo Uematsu was the one who did all the music for Final Fantasy up to like 10.
Okay. Fair.
So he wrote like some of the most famous Final Fantasy songs ever. Fair. And they're world famous too. His band is the Black Mages.
So I'm gonna move us on to the next line of questioning. Who is your favorite character? Mine is Chrono, and reason being why he's my favorite character is his plot of, as you're playing through and he dies. Spoiler alert. If you're watching at this point and you didn't know that, I'm sorry. I should have said spoiler first. However, because he dies.
I mean, it has to be said. I mean, we didn't talk about it during the game segment, but it does have to be said.
I mean, it's a review. You're reviewing. Yeah. We're reviewing.
Oh, no, don't worry about spoilers. I'm saying, like, it has to be said that is also one of the things that make this game so fantastic, is that it broke a lot of molds at the time.
Yeah, and it's like, do I get him back? Can I get him back? I had a Naka for it, so I didn't have to wait long, but playing that originally, you
would have had to talk to NPCs, and you might not have found out you could get him back.
Exactly. You might have gone through the rest of the game without him.
And there was a bunch
of
people who
then found out you could have revived him.
Yeah, there was a bunch of people who did. Like, people lost their shit when in Final Fantasy VII, like, oh no, Aerith died, a main character.
We are doing a review. We are supposed to be professional.
Sorry. Losing their collective marbles, I should say.
Yes, that's
part of that. I'm usually pretty good with this recently.
Yeah.
That was one that people losing their minds over Aerith dying. Like, oh my goodness, it's so dramatic. For one, I played a Final Fantasy VII original. My thoughts on it are pretty known. I don't like it. I found it a mess, and I just wasn't attached to a lot of these characters. In this, with Chrono dying, it's like, this broke the mold way before that came out, and Chrono is the main character.
Yeah.
You can't take him off your team.
Yeah.
And then he dies.
And then he comes back.
You can bring him back. He doesn't just come back plot-wise. That's the fun part. It's
Yeah.
not plot relevant that he comes back. That's all you.
Yeah, that's side questy. So who's your favorite character and why?
It's hard to pick because as a kid, of course, I love Chrono, his story, his the characteristic. Really enjoy that. Plus, his design is so fun. But I think ultimately one of my favorite characters has always had to have been, like, I can't tell if he's the favorite, but he's always been one of the ones that I jump to, which is Frog, Glenn.
Glenn, okay.
Not
I
Glenn.
had a feeling you were going to say that. He's close second for me. I almost chose him, but
His backstory is very tragic, very cool. At the fact that he was like a softy weenie and he becomes like actually the better swordsman of the two of them, and that he has such a unfair, traumatic life. It's such a strong character and it resonates so well. And he's a fun character. His like determination, his pluck and seriousness, a lot of fun. And plus, he gets the super cool sword and he cuts a mountain in half. That is so cool. It's hard to argue with how cool that is. But of course, like, I've loved all the characters for years. Like, I don't even have a least favorite of them. I think the one that was like the least for personality for me was Ayla, the cave woman.
okay.
And it's just because her personality isn't as fleshed out or explored. It just
Really, I mean,
it's not a bad character. It's just there wasn't a lot to it.
Yeah.
To be fair, it was a cave person. There wasn't a lot to being a cave person.
That's fair. Yeah, that's where I was gonna go. Yeah.
And again, she wasn't even like, oh, she's my least favorite character. It's like, if I have to say one's the least, her, I guess.
Fair. I mean, I wasn't picking least favorite, but
No, just saying, like, it's hard for me to pick a favorite because they're all such good characters that I like so much. Robo is so much fun.
I mean,
Luca's super intelligent with the cool tech stuff.
I would say Robo for me. Like, no, I don't really have a reason why, but like,
Yeah,
I didn't dislike any of the characters, so I don't have a reason why he'd be my least favorite. But
he's a little dry as a character, mind you. That is
I,
kind of the point.
I guess that's why. Like, I don't necessarily relate to being a robot from the future that well, so that could be why.
And his personality is a bit dry, but I liked all his robot moves. I thought they were really cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that he does have a hard, dramatic story, both actually when you first find him and for his finishing story. Because if you don't remember, he helps you through the factory.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you turn on the generator so the room can be powered, he holds the door so everyone can run by. He manages to make it out okay. You think he's going to be broken, but he's all right. And then the security system drops down, and the entire R66 series, that his real name is R66Y.
Yeah.
So, or the R60 series, because there are R65Y, R64Y. They all drop out. Not the entirety of the series, but like a whole bunch of them drop out. And he sees them, he recognizes them as his brothers, and they start attacking him because he's defending the humans. They're supposed to eliminate them.
Yeah.
And then he lets them beat him to death to stop them from hurting the humans, and he won't let the humans hurt them back. During it, like, you try to run forward, he goes, please don't, they're my brothers. And he gets basically beaten to death, and then you have to fight them all off, pull his wrecked body out of the chute that they shoved him into, and it shows a cutscene montage of dragging him back to the facility so that Luca can repair him.
Yeah.
And she barely manages to revive him. And all the meanwhile, it's this soul-crushing experience, whatever you would call a soul-crushing experience for a robot, because his world is gone, everyone he's ever known is dead, and his only family...
So robots can have a soul. So
yeah,
I would say yes,
it's a relative moment. But yeah, like, everyone he's ever known is dead. The world is destroyed. He finds new people, and the first thing he gets to do when he tries to help them is he has to pick between them and his family, and then his family murder him. That is intense and awful, but he just motors on through, of course, because he's a robot, but that's also, they kind of play that off that that's his personality. He just deals with stuff. And, I don't know, I thought that was such a good development of character. Anyways, rambling on with that, but...
Fair. Yeah, you make good points. As I said, I didn't dislike any of the characters, so if I had to pick one, I would be just picking him.
Which is fair, because, like I said, he's dry. He's a bit of a dry character.
What moment stands out for you? Well, again, to bring it back, the death of Chrono.
Yeah.
The fact that was a thing that they did that back in the day. The fact that would have been soul crushing, that the character you're bonding with and progressing through is just gone, and he's gone forever, as far as you know. And then it's like, do I bond with a different character? Are they also gonna die? Like, that would be my favorite moment in the game, because it just thinking in terms of back in the day. I didn't play it back in the day, and yes, I've experienced things like that. Since
we got a screensaver going.
So hopefully that didn't miss
I don't think
anything
it
up.
would have changed
We're
capture.
still recording, but yeah. So for me, that would be my favorite moment of the game, just because it was so big, like so groundbreaking.
It's hard to pick for me.
See, that moment obviously stands out for me. It is a
And you are more than
moment.
welcome to pick the same moment. You know that, right? You don't have to be different.
Well, no, that's not the thing that I'm struggling with here. It's like, that is a humongous moment, and then of course I mentally tie that with the falling of the kingdom, when with the whole, like, the ocean palace getting destroyed, being in the Blackbird, and then like accidentally activating the laser, zapping down the Blackbird, it crashes. But when they but like when Chrono dies and then Lavos awakens for that moment, the destruction and the kingdom of Zeal is destroyed, rended into pieces, and falls to Earth.
Yeah.
That is all one big moment. It's like, oh, that is a huge moment. That is a massive cataclysmic thing. And the impact on it is so profound because it changes the tone of everything that's been happening so far.
Yeah.
Because things were getting darker by that point, but that's the part where the tone fully breaks, and now all the rules are different. Hundreds died. Chrono's dead. The bad guys effectively are winning, and it's like, haha.
What now?
Like, so things just got real. But there's also that moment. There's also something else for me. When I was a kid and I first got to Lavos, and I beat the shell, and I found out it was a shell. I was like, what? And then you go inside, it's like, what's going on? And then seeing the ultimate being in the center, that moment was so climactic and so dramatic for me, because one was like, oh no, this is so much worse. The stakes are so high now.
Yeah.
Because the battle that I just got through, which was such a nightmare, it's like, yes, I did it. And it's like, oh no, it's even more powerful. That was just the shell. And it's like, yeah, that moment stuck with me for one of those, like, this is how you set up a real, like, epic finish.
Yeah.
And the fact that it goes to stage 3, and it's like, and it's a more refined form of that, and it's almost human. It's the ultimate life form that has all the DNA of everything that's ever been on Earth, and it's this almost human thing.
Yeah.
And just how everything's changed, and you're not even on a spot anymore, or in something. You're literally barreling through time.
At that point, yeah.
That whole fight sequence of going through those 3 stages, that moment of just like, this is how big this is how incredible this is, that stuck with me. And it's also set the bar for, like, villains for me whenever I was a kid, because the great thing with Elvis, he's not even a conscious villain.
No, he's just an entity that exists, and
you're literally fighting something that's bigger than life itself.
Yeah.
And the way they personified it made it just so impactful and so incredible. So it's, like I said, like, it's a hard pick, because the death of Chrono and, like, the game's entire tone changes, and then that climactic finish of just like, this is what this was all about. I have to say it's like a tie for me. I don't think I can separate the two.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. What is one thing you would change? One thing I would change is what's his real name? I call him Chippy.
Magus.
Magus having a more fleshed out story after he's part of your team. Like,
yeah.
Give him more.
I think I just flat out agree with that. That's the only part that is a little lacking, is that you don't get a good resolution to his story, or even enough time with it, because you get pieces of it. You get the pieces of it throughout the game.
Yeah.
You find out, like, at first he's the big baddie. He's leading the army, and then you go back in time and you see him as a child before you realize he's a child. Like, that's him. And then you put the pieces of his future and his past together, and you see how that transitioned, and it's so upsetting.
Yeah.
And you still have the, like, he's the evil bugger who cursed your friend, killed hundreds, and even almost killed you, was messing with time just for his own gains, and to have it all blow up in his face and everything, you don't even have that moment of sympathy. They don't give you time to really weigh his life and his tragedies with you.
Yeah.
And it would have been nicer with more of that. Plus, even with the Black Omen, there's nothing really to it. I think if you play through the Black Omen and you get to the end with him, there's different dialogue.
Okay.
Because it's his mother, but it's barely acknowledged because he's just like, yeah, you died years ago. And that's about it, if I remember correctly. I might be entirely wrong. I apologize if I am. It's been a long time since I did that. But, yeah, that's about it. And then you get a cutscene in the one ending where you see him searching through time in, like, different areas of the world, trying to find his sister, and it's like, okay, could have had a little more.
Yeah, just a little bit more fleshed out, like, after...
Like, a cutscene, a side story, like
something.
A short one, just a little one.
Like, where you couldn't even do that side story if you didn't bring him on your team, but it technically is in the game kind of thing. It'd be an even more, like, hidden gem almost.
Yeah. Now, fun fact, you can actually get a triple attack with him.
Can you?
He has, it's not, there's a set few secret triple attacks that don't involve Chrono. Because Chrono's part of every triple attack.
Yeah.
You have to have, I believe, it's either one or two, I believe it's the Black Stone, the item of Black Stone.
Okay.
And I think he has to be wearing it with the two members that that it applies to. You find this out. This is a tricky way to find it out. You have to see who can equip it. The people who can equip it are the ones who can do the triple attack. You put them all in a team. One person is wearing it. I believe he has to be wearing it. And then they combine to do a triple attack. They have the triple attack available to them.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So there is, like, secret team attacks he does. And it's like, ooh, there's a little hidden thing there.
Yeah,
but
that's fun.
Don't have anything else than that.
Yeah.
Like, that's just it. It's like, that's so cool. Give me
just a little bit more.
Just a little more.
What would you want to see? What would you want a sequel to look like? So for me, what I would want a sequel to be, based on just the story of this game, and yes, we are aware that Chrono Cross exists, and Radical Dreamers, not Radiant Dawn, that's a different game. Radical Dreamers exists, but in the context of this question, they do not exist. They are not a thing.
Rain has no experience with them anyways.
I personally
don't. This is a pretty raw answer.
But in the context of when Nock is answering, he needs to keep that in mind. Just so you guys are aware, he's keeping that in mind.
Yep.
I want to see space, for one, because Lavos came from space, but I want, like, more of, like, where he came from, why he's there, why he's traveling, and what I want it to be is, like, these are just parasites. These are just things, a big bad entity, shall we say, we'll call him Gravos, because he's, I don't know, because he's got gravitas.
Grandiose.
Grandos, yes, because he's grandiose. That's more what I was going to say. We'll call him Grandos. So Grandos sends Lavos out to planets to take them over. And the whole purpose is somehow, you could say that their powers, through, I don't know, whatever means, is channeling back to him, making him more powerful. So the more planets he's taking out, the more powerful he is.
Transformers plot with that at some point. It was the brother of Unicron. I can't remember.
I'm sure there was.
Sorry.
So, and, you know, you're discovering this. You're actually traveling to different planets. You know, we've saved Earth. Earth is safe enough that you can travel out without worrying that a Lavos is going to come destroy Earth, because we have protocols in place. So we're actually going on an adventure in space to try and save other planets from Lavos.
So
and
basically,
along the way, we
Dragon Ball Z.
Maybe. We discover along the way that there is a bigger, badder guy that is actually sending them out for his own nefarious purposes. And you go fight him over time, and you you destroy his factory, so now he can't send more Lavos out. And yes, technically any Lavos could make baby Lavoses and send them out, but they're not necessarily sending them out, they're just making baby Lavoses. Because that is what they feed, they reproduce, yada yada, is what they do, and then he sends the babies off to other planets. And the whole point is because he wants to destroy the universe. That he wants to be the most powerful thing and be the only thing that exists, being his background for some reason. And then you go on a mission with all your beloved characters, maybe add a few new ones, knowing that Chrono Cross has quite a few, not that many, maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 more, like just to give it a bit
a concise little team, like you get in
new
Trigger.
Characters, new storyline, just kind of keep it fresh and flowing, but not that many. And yeah, that's the general plot. I want to see like a space version where Lavos is literally just at Paris. Like Lavos, as big and grandiose as he was in this game, is only a tiny piece of the larger puzzle, which makes you feel that that villain is so much more.
Yeah. The shonen scaling.
Yes. Literally, yes.
Yeah. Now I was like, I wasn't being mean, but you basically just described what happens for the plot of Dragon Ball Z. Like, that is the exact plot of Dragon Ball Z.
Which and how? How is there a parasite that travels to different planets and destroys everything?
Finding out that the main baddie that was coming to destroy the planet that was coming to wipe everything out is actually just a speck of a minion that is sent out by an even greater force that is taking over and consuming planets. The Saiyans are Lavos, and Grandos is Frieza.
That's true. There you go.
You literally did the plot of Z without realizing it.
Fitting.
Well, because like it's where your mind's progression would go with the attachment to Akira Toriyama and that style of upping the scale.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that doesn't mean it's a bad want or a bad plot even.
Yeah.
It's just that was one of those like, you accidentally did that one.
Maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe it was intentional.
The fact that you had to ask, but
maybe I just wanted your opinion on that.
Honestly,
maybe I wanted to see if you could get it right.
For me, the difference is that I actually would want something entirely different as a sequel. One thing I always wanted was the resolve of what happened to Scala, the quest for her, finding her, Chippy's sister.
Okay. Yeah.
Magus' sister, Scala.
Okay, yeah.
And he's shown to be going through time searching for her, going at least through the world searching for her. It would have been good to see a time-hopping game as a sequel where Magus is the main character, or at least the main antagonist you're following as he causes disruption through time, finding Scala.
Yeah.
And you work your way up to either finding her or something else. You could even make it so that somebody was manipulating time or using the power that had been lost by them. Somebody had rediscovered the Mammon machine or something like that to cause havoc as you're trying to save Scala or find out what happened.
Now, would Magus be your main character, or would it be Rain?
See, that's the thing. It could be either or, and I actually was thinking with it of having a different set of characters. They finish their stories in back their times.
Oh, hello.
Oh,
Welcome to the review of Chrono Trigger.
No, you have to stay down. If you're down here, you're in here.
We'll be done in a little bit, sweetie.
We're almost done.
Got a little visitor. But for that, it would have been. I think it would have been good to have a different set of characters, a new set of them, because the others had their stories, and they're mostly wrapped up pretty concisely by the end. The only one that wasn't was Magus.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have seen more from that. And it would have been nice to revisit these characters in their time settings, having finished their stories with a new set of characters. It doesn't even have to be like, oh, it's the new generation, just a different set. From different points in time, even. That would have been something I would have wanted for a sequel when thinking of it in general, and in separate from the ones that we got. As a kid, I didn't really even necessarily want a sequel. I just wanted Magus' story wrapped up.
That's fair. Okay.
That's all I wanted. So
a sequel more focused around that would be what you're looking for.
Yeah, if I was to ask for a sequel,
time travel again, though.
Either time travel again or just more globetrotting. I think time travel would be necessary to keep it interesting, because the world is fairly small.
Yeah.
And to scale it up would cause continuity issue.
Okay.
And it's not like it's impossible. It could be done. But if I was going to like hash out like, okay, what would you do 4 sequel to Chrono Trigger that would justify looking for someone who's lost in time with a person who was the all-powerful start to it. He's either the antagonist you're following, or he's the main character. He could be starting as the main character, and then he gets lost in time, or something happens that clashes with him, and then the new set of people who experience this, like maybe a band of people that was following around helping him.
You wouldn't want like Rain to come back, or sorry, Chrono to come back.
See, as cool as it'd be to have them, like I said, they're already finished, and to start a sequel, it would be problematic because where would you go? They'd already be max level and super strong and have done their adventure. You're gonna have to either depower them, or you're just gonna have to bloat the scale of everything to a point where it's nonsense. So to make it an actual story that was viable, not just a side quest or a quick wrap up, you'd need a different set of characters, ones who haven't finished the story, who aren't epic, especially with the
maybe Rain comes in later on. Chrono comes in later.
Or seeing them. That was the thing, like seeing them in their time zone, in their elements, asking them. Maybe they're NPCs you have to talk to piece together the story, so you can figure out where this character has gone.
Yeah.
Or to find out what happened, like investigate the time travel. Well, hi there, you.
Hello.
Hi, sweetie.
Hello.
This is the little one. But yeah, like I said, it would cause issue with that. No, it would be nice. It would be cool to go to Chrono and see that he's the king now, because in the Akira Toriyama added ending cutscene, it shows them getting married. That's not something that happened in the original in-game cutscenes.
Yeah.
That was an added piece. So that would be neat to show what's going on there.
Yeah.
Glenn leading the armies. Frog.
Very fair.
Hang on, sweetie. Hang on.
Would you play it again?
Oh, yeah, easily.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
I was going to say,
I would play it again, because I want to experience it without
pressure, time, and
the pressure, time constraint of like trying to move it along.
And the gaps
even though
in between.
like during the entire recording, I was like, "No, let's go do this other thing that's going to prolong it." More for like the passing it to Naka part, where I wouldn't pass it as much because I would want to.
And just so you can have it in private, you can sit down and absorb the game.
Yeah,
on your time, on your terms.
So yes, I would definitely play it on my own. Yes, I would absolutely recommend others playing it.
It's a silly question for me. Not only would I play it again, I'm going to play it again. I'm going to play it probably a bunch more times. I'm going to be playing this game till I die, probably.
Yes, most likely it'll be his
I'm going to be playing it with
76th
her.
playthrough.
By
the time he dies, probably is my guess.
Like I've done everything in this game pretty much before on the Super, and now I have a different version of it where there's more stuff to do, and I might not do all of it, but I probably am at some point.
No, you can't go outside.
No, wait there. Sorry, little one is ecstatic about snow.
Well, with that note. Take you outside in a minute, okay?
Sorry, I had to cut it for a second just because. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. It'll be done in just a second.
We're almost done. So, final thoughts.
Honestly, there's a reason why it's considered one of the greatest RPGs ever made, and why it is just an almost perfect classic for me, if not one of the perfect RPGs. And
it's okay. You're okay.
there we go. Sorry, she's having a hard day. The final thoughts I would have is that I honestly wouldn't want anything changed with this game pretty much, and I wouldn't really want for it to have some grandiose thing. But there is one thing I would say is that I want to see this get the treatment that other RPGs are getting right now.
Yeah, like I guess my final thoughts on it would be to remastering everything else. Remaster this. I want to see a remastered version of this.
Like the Trials of Mana, Seiken Densetsu 3, when it came with its new version in 3D, it's a fantastic update to the game. I wouldn't even want anything to be changed in Chrono Trigger. Super Mario RPG just recently got a remake into full 3D animation, and it's gorgeous, and they kept everything almost exactly the same. There's still no dialogue even, like in terms of speaking dialogue, but it looks phenomenal, and it feels great. I want to see that happen for this game.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, for example, that's a game that needed it. It was a mess, and the fact it's been bloating out into like 3 games, and people are like, oh my god, they're just chopping it up, it's so dumb. It needed the time. This game you could remake like that, and you wouldn't have to add.
Yeah.
It could just be a gorgeously redone game.
Absolutely.
Not that it isn't gorgeous as it is with 8-bit. It's just, if we're going to do anything to it, reimagine it. It doesn't need to be fixed, but with that logic, you also don't need to keep it exactly the same. We have Chrono Trigger, so let's get
creative
new
with it.
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, fair. Alright guys, well I think that will be it for the review. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give us a subscribe and a follow and a like. Check us out on all of our platforms. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at It's Raining Games. Twitch is Nothing But The Rain. TikTok.
You're grabbing the ball.
Grabbing the ball.
Oh yeah, the claw is holding
Your necklace.
Oh, it is, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a dragon claw holding a piece of obsidian. It's pretty cool, isn't it? And we don't have Kick yet, but I've been hearing that's a thing that's happening, so we might have that one day.
Yeah, Rain's getting that figured out.
Yeah, so
I guess at that point, now, do you want to switch over to our outro?
Yeah. Well, we don't really. I haven't made an outro. All we got
It's
is the
just
intro.
going to be the intro again, guys. We don't technically have an official outro, but I just figured we'll just
All right.
bookend it, you know.
Yeah.
See you in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching.